Welcome to Dowdy Hawkins Gymnasium in Pekin Community High School for tonight's boys and girls hoops doubleheader between the host Pekin Dragons and the Morton Potters. I am Michael Savoy, joined alongside me is Rodrigo Perez and Rodrigo. You can ask for a better time of the year with some Mid-Illini doubleheader hoops.
Oh yeah, Michael, it's Mid-Illini time. It's always a great game when both of these teams meet each other, and it's a doubleheader tonight, so we're going to get a lot of great basketball.
And when you talk about both of these teams, first you want to talk about the Morton Potters. They're a very successful women's or girls basketball program. They have a very successful and accoladed head coach in Bob Becker. He's gotten 4 state titles, a three-peat, and he's got 8 Final Four appearances, a very successful head coach in his own right.
Bob Becker has quite the resume for him with the Potters. He's changed the game for the Potters. A couple of years ago, the Potters were an incredible team who was always competing, and they still are, and they continue to be because of Bob Becker.
And on the flip side, looking at Pekin, they're not necessarily as accomplished as the Potters, but they're always in the thick of things in Mid-Illini, and right now, sitting at 3-4, they're looking to get a 500. What do you have for the Dragons?
Yeah, the Dragons are always in the mix. They are always able to give those surprises, and we're still early in the season, so we're not exactly sure how good these Dragons will be, but I'm sure they're going to be able to give us some surprises as the season goes along.
Talking about the enrollment differences for Morton, having an enrollment of a little over 1,000 at 1,027, and Pekin having an enrollment of close to 2,000 at 1,820. Morton playing in Class 3A and Pekin playing in Class 4A. It's definitely beneficial for Morton to get the good competition in Class 4A right away.
Oh, yeah, as a coach, that's what you want for your players, to just get some of these great high-octane matchups out of the way early on in the season, start developing some confidence, and start, just piling up the wins with these important matchups.
We'll get a start lineups presented here. First for the Dragons of Pekin. Do not have a number 14 on the roster, but we'll start with number 10, Zoe Korma. Following her is number 5, Allison Barnum. And then number 23, Allison Lambie. And then Sierra Sitter. And then rounding things out is Molly Hansen. And the lights go dark here in the Dowdy Hawkins. Starting lineup for Morton is Addie Engel. With her is number 10, Isabella Hutchinson. And then Abigail Van Beeden. And then number 25, Ellie Van Beeden. And then number 31, Paige Selk.
Yeah, just taking a look at both of those starting lineups, Michael. It's just incredible to see all these great athletes on the court right now. Two teams with very similar outlooks. Both have a couple of seniors, a couple of juniors, and we're almost getting ready to start. And we just saw a great light show right there, Michael. I don't know how much you liked it, but I loved it.
Oh, I love those light shows. When you talk about these high school gyms, and anytime they can incorporate anything cool like that, it's always fun to see. As we get this game tip-off on our way, and the Potters will start first. Van Beeden gives it to her sister, Ellie Van Beeden. Van Beeden drives in, loses the ball, picked up by the Potters again. Selke to Van Beeden, Ellie Van Beeden for 3, no good.
That was a great recovery by Isabella Hutchinson. That ball was destined to go out of bounds. She grabs it and gives the Potters a little bit of an extra push to try to get that first point.
Here's Pekin, the first possession of the game. Lamb to the Barnum. Komura loses the ball, picked up by the Potters, excuse me.
It's just the height of Abigail Van Meenen. Just grab that ball from Zoe Korma.
And Pekin looks to get her first points of the game. Korma to Lamb, and Lamb gives it back to Barnum. Barnum back to the top of the key, looking for someone to pass it to. Good defense from Morton. Driving into Barnum, and Barnum loses the ball and goes out of bounds. She steps out, and it'll be Morton possession. Potters will start.
That was a nice little play right there. You saw her just kind of go between defenders, and honestly, could have easily ended in the first points for the Dragons, who are at home here. This is their home turf. They got to defend it well.
Home turf is definitely something that you need to defend well. The turnover, but loses it to the Potters. Pekin could have had numbers there.
Little ping pong action right there. No team really able to grab the ball as the Potters looked for the first points, and there they are.
Addie Engel puts 2 up on the board for the Potters, and that's what gets the scoring started.
We have the couple of seniors on this Potters team who have really been important this season so far. A lot of girls that have gotten a lot of minutes with the Potters.
Pekin's turning the ball around nicely. For 3 is Lambie, and she misses it. Rebound goes to the Potters, and they look to push. Hutchinson, and Hutchinson gets fouled.
First foul tonight. We'll see if the Potters are able to conjure anything up with this.
Barnum picks up the foul. And Engel hands it off to Van Meenen. Van Meenen looking inside. And for 3 goes her sister, Ellie Van Meenen, and it's no good. Rebound goes to the Dragons. Pushing the pace is Pekin for 3 is good. That is Sierra Sitter from downtown, and Pekin gets the lead.
Sitter showing her confidence right there, just going for that 3 so early in the game.
Pekin definitely needs to hit their shots against this Morton team. Driving in, kicking out to Van Meenen. Van Meenen goes to her left. Fakes one pass one way and scores. And Van Meenen gets on the board for the Potters. And Pekin looks to get set up on offense. As Kormoa gives it off to Lambie. Back to Barnum to her right. Gives it down low towards the free throw line. Hands it to Kormoa for 3 is Lambie, and she hits another one from downtown. Lambie already 2 for 2 from 3.
Again, just showing her confidence from beyond the arc. Already 2 threes to her name. It's going to be interesting to see how many more she's able to make.
Driving in is Engel, and it's no good. Giving it back out to Hutchinson, and she looks to set up the offense for the Potters. Katie Brock on the corner, and Van Meenen gives it off to Ellie Van Meenen. It's no good, and rebound pass to Van Meenen down low, and she scores. They're all knotted up at 6 and early going.
Both teams passing the ball around well. The shooting has been a little lackluster from both, but they're passing the ball around well, and it's going to get better. We're still early off in the season.
And the steal, ball was stolen by Hutchinson, and looks like Katie Brock for the Potters gets fouled. And if Pekin really wants a chance in this game against a ferocious Morton team, they got to limit their fouls.
One of the substitutions for the Potters, Paige Selke, a sophomore, one of the younger members from this Potters team.
Moore moved the ball around. Selke to Brock. Brock going baseline. Good defense from the Dragons and steals it. That's Sierra Sitter at the steal, but gives it right back to Morton, and Morton drives in. and scores. That was Abigail Van Meeden for the Potters.
Saw the open lane and just took it. That's a layup for her.
And Dragons look to get settled on offense. Look to keep pace with this Morton team. Good defense on Lambie. And just like that, an offensive foul on Lambie, and it'll be Morton's possession.
Both teams keeping it closer so far in this first quarter. The visitors, the Potters, just edging out the Dragons 8-6. Like we mentioned a little bit in the pregame, it's going to be an intense matchup. It's going to be close. And so far, we're right.
Selke on the top of the key. She drives in and she scores to the left hand. What a ride from Selke, excuse me. So the Dragons look to get started again. It's Sitter to Korma. Korma drives into her left, finds a lane. Right hand is no good. Rebound, Potters. And Ruxlow gives it off to Brock. Brock to Van Meeden. And the three is banked in. That was Paige Selke, and the bank is open, and they're going in the first quarter.
She's been huge for the Potters ever since she came in a couple minutes ago. That's her first points of the night, and I'm sure we'll see a couple more.
Korma gives it off to Lambie. Lambie up to Barnum. Barnum to Korma. Driving in. Dragons. Lambie, and she turns it over. Van Meeden with the steal.
Again, the height of Abigail Van Meenen has just been incredible for the Potters in regaining possession.
Selke from three again, no good. And a foul on the rebound goes to Van Meeden, Ellie Van Meeden, which out of the two Van Meedens is the oldest one, the junior.
Yeah, we always talk about having that sister-brother combo in these teams and how that really helps the team just because, you know, you're with them when you're at home, you're with them when you're in the practice room. It just builds, it builds that chemistry even farther than just being in practices.
Sitter brings the ball up the court for the Dragons. Miley Hansen hands it off to Hansen again. Gives it to Barnum, and the ball is knocked out of bounds from the Potters as Addie Engel knocks it out. Hansen with the ball. Gives it to Korma. Korma looking, orchestrating the offense from the top of the key. 30 seconds left to go in the first quarter. They might hold for the last shot. And it's stolen by Brock, and a jump ball. Possession arrow favors the Dragons with 23.4 remaining.
Potters have been relentless, going on a 5-0 run in the last couple minutes. They don't seem to be stopping anytime soon.
It's really something Pekin didn't want to see from the Potters, knowing how ferocious their team can be. And we have a stoppage of play. It looks like they're trying to decide where the arrow points to.
Little discussion between officials.
And
not uncharacteristic of this this game.
it looks like they made the right decision, right call of giving Pekin the ball. 16-13, and they're early going the first quarter. Morton with the 7-point lead.
Still a lot of ball game left, though.
That is certainly the case as Hansen looks to pass the ball in. Struggling, and a 5-second call goes on Pekin, and like we've said in the open, this Morton team can be very ferocious on defense, and just they're a really good overall team. We've seen this in early going.
Yeah, so far Morton's made it very difficult for the Dragons to, you know, play basketball out here.
We're approaching 20 seconds left to go in the first quarter. If Morton wants to, they can hold for the final shot, and that's what they hope, looking like they're going to do. As a cut by Brock, gives it back out to Engel. Engel with the ball. 3 seconds. Brock for 3. No good. And that's how the first quarter ends. The Morton Potters are on top of the Pekin Dragons, 13-6. Rodrigo, thoughts on the first quarter?
Yeah, it's kind of what we expected from both of these teams. Morton just being ferocious on the defense, and the Dragons just kind of getting in a bit of a rut early on here, giving up those 5 points with Morton going that 5-0 run to end the first quarter.
Certainly. And as for anyone who wants to advertise with Clutch Sports Media, well, here's your chance. Clutch Sports Media is looking for sponsors for this basketball season. To learn more about becoming a sponsor of Clutch Sports Media, visit our website at clutchsportsil.com. Or email us even at clutchsportsil.gmail.com for more information.
Lots of opportunities for advertising here at Clutch Sports Media. So
a lot of great local businesses inside of the Peoria area. And I gotta say, if you're Pekin, you know you're going up against with this Morton team, 7-3, undefeated in conference play. How do you get back in this game?
Well, you just want to try to play your brand of basketball. Just keep doing what's been working for you, refining as the game goes on, adapting to what Morton is doing out there, and reaping the fruits of your labor.
Certainly, and the Morton defense, a staple of their team for Bob Becker's crew, and they've been ferocious so far, only allowing 6 points in the first quarter. As we get started the second quarter, backing down is Engel, and Engel looks to finish, and she does not convert. Rebound goes to Korma, and Sitter looks to settle the offense down for the Dragons. Korma looking for a Dragon to pass it to. Gives it off to Lambie. On the top of the key is Lambie. Back to Kormoa. Driving into her left. Turns around. Trapped. Hands it off to Barnum, and she does not make the jumper. What an aggressive play by Korma, getting the loose ball. And Lambie will get things settled down again for the Dragons.
The Dragons, they just can't find a way past this Potter defense. They're trying. They're looking for options. They're just not finding them.
Hansen to Korma. Korma looking to drive. Loses the ball again. Looking for a cutting Dragon, and it was a good pass, but unable to finish. But fouled is Miley Hansen, and she'll shoot 2.
Great recovery for Miley Hansen, a multi-sport athlete here at here in Pekin, playing as kicker for their football team, a soccer player as well, and now on the court, on the basketball court.
She really can do it all, and we've seen Miley throughout our years of covering Pekin athletics on Clutch Sports Media. The fact that she's a kicker on the football team is absolutely outstanding, and she's kicked some pretty notable field goals and extra points.
Yeah, even made a couple tackles back in playoff time that I'm sure the Pekin community remembers very well.
She goes 0 for 2 at the line, and the Potters turn the ball over to the Dragons. They look to push, and they look to break the lid off the basket. They have not had really opportunities to make the shot, as Korma looks to do that, but to no avail.
Potters have just, the Dragons have just been a little unlucky right there, as the Potters defense just does not turn down the heat.
Van Benen in the corner. Passes it to Selkin. It's turned over. Barnum looks to finish, and she gets fouled. Foul committed by Laufenberg from the Potters.
So far, I'm liking what I'm seeing from the Dragons. I'm seeing a little more intensity, a little more commitment to try to look for those fast breaks, look for those steals wherever you can.
Certainly something they've done better in the second quarter than the first quarter, as free throw shooting for the Dragons, for the most part, what we've seen from early going, has not gone their way. if they want any chance against this Potters team, they got to hit those free shots.
Yeah, 0 for 3 right now. They'll have a chance to score one, Barnum. And there you go.
And Barnum converts on the second. And looks to play some full court man-to-man defense from the inbound. Got to slow down this Potters team some way. Selke gives it to Van Bienen, now to Brock. Ellie Van Bienen looks in the corner. Selke, the Van Bienen, and they look to set up their offense.
It's incredible to think that the Potters haven't scored in this quarter yet, and we're already almost 3 minutes in.
Been low scoring to this point, only one basket, and that was a free throw from the Dragons. And the no avail was the layup attempt by Abigail Van Bienen. So yeah, Rodrigo, I mean, you bring up a good point. I mean, there's only one basket, and that was just a free throw, and
exactly.
We're almost halfway done with the second quarter. The three-pointer from the Dragons is no good. That was Lambie, and they'll let the ball roll out of bounds, and it'll be Potters' possession.
Lambie, we've seen her hit some of those before. Couldn't quite get that one in, but she'll have her chance.
Checking in for the Potters would be Addison Engel and Isabella Hutchinson.
Two important players for them.
Very much. I mean, you talk about a team that's full of depth. I mean, all of these Potters players, they can definitely play. As Hutchinson brings the ball up the court. Gives it off to Engel, and Engel scores. And the lid has been taken off the basket for the Potters. It is 7:15. We're approaching 4:30 left to go in the half. Ball goes out of bounds. That was a pass from Sitter to the Dragon. So it goes out of bounds. Really, if you're Pekin, you got to put some offensive possessions together because, you know, this Morton defense, they're not going to let you have anything easy.
Yeah, and to the Dragons' credit, they have been doing a little bit more of that.
Three from Van Bienen is no good. Rebound from Engel. Back out to the top of the key. Back out to the corner. That is Engel again, and that is no good. Rebound, though, for the Potters. That's Hutchinson, and she throws it off the Dragon leg, and it'll be Potters' possession. What an effort from Isabella Hutchinson there.
Incredible effort. She was just ready to grab that ball, give her team another opportunity to score, which is exactly what Bob Becker is looking for.
Three-pointer on the way from Morton. That's no good. Selke not able to convert. And the Dragons look to take the lid off their own basket. Only 1 point so far for the Dragons. More than halfway done in the quarter.
For the Potters, Engel and Selke already with 5 points each. They're really putting up the points for the Potters and really making Pekin's job even harder.
Korma back out to a cutting Lambie, and she's not able to convert. Rebound and pushing the pace is Hutchinson. Back out to Engel. Puts up a floater. No good. Ripping out the rebound is Van Meter, and to Dragons it goes. And Korma looks to settle in this Dragons offense, who have been flustered at this point for the Morton defense. Korma to Covert. Back out to Miley Hansen. Hansen hands it off back to Lambie. Lambie to Barnum. Back out to Korma for three, and she hits the three. Big shot from the Dragons. And a timeout from Becker.
Huge shot for the Dragons. That's 3 points after only scoring one free throw. Those 3 points are huge. That puts you within 5 of the Potters, who you'd been trailing for this whole quarter. And while we haven't seen that much scoring for both teams, it's starting to get up there now.
We're starting to see some shots fall, and for the Dragons, I mean, in this huddle, like you said, they've been down on the Potters this whole game to this point. I mean, how do you try to string together some offensive possessions to get even closer, and how do you play a full complete game?
Yeah, it really just starts with the little things. Getting those rebounds, just getting the ball back. That's where it starts off with, and getting those defensive stops to try to help the offense a little bit, because they kind of go hand in hand, offense and defense.
And to your point, Rodrigo, they go in a 1-2-2 press, and the Powders break that easily. Is Hutchinson driving in, and she looks to score, and she gets fouled. And for the Dragons, I mean, going to that timeout, you knew what you wanted to do with that zone press. It just wasn't executed, and also insult to injury, you commit a foul.
Yeah, it didn't go quite to plan for the Dragons. We'll see how they continue working those timeouts, working those different presses, and, you know, we'll see what happens.
Hutchinson makes her first. And goes 1 for 2 at the line. As Cover with the rebound gives it to Korma. And the Dragons will get set on offense. Lambie to her right. Good aggressive defense from the Powders to this point. A cutting Korma ends off to the short corner. And that was Barnum with the missed jumper. And off a Dragon, it is Powders basketball. All twos on the score clock to this point. Score is 10-16 in favor of the Powders. And we are just approaching the end of the second quarter.
Powders with a nice lead heading into the remainder of the game. We'll see how they manage the rest of the game, though.
Sitter corner in the corner, and that shot was blocked, and it was Sierra Sitter at the three, and then the foul committed by the Dragons down low. It looks to be Magna Lopo at the line. This is her first attempt at the line.
Both teams have been struggling a little bit from the charity stripe here in this one.
See if that changes in this shot, and it does. 1 for 2 at the line, and the Powders grab a 7-point lead. As Sitter looks to get the offensive possession going for the Dragons, who is being double teamed, slips out of the screen, looks out for three. That is Allison Lamb with the jumper, and that's a big shot for Pekin. Brings them down to a 4-point deficit.
Those threes are becoming Pekin's best friend right now.
A three-pointer on the way for the answer is off the side of the backboard, and a rebound from the Dragons. So you got to think if Pekin can get another, 3 or 2 here, just another basket, it can just keep upping their morale, keep their confidence brewing.
Yeah, that just brews confidence when you're able to just make a three or even a simple layup. Just getting those points on the board just pushes you forward mentally as the game goes on.
Korma drives into her left, spins around with the right hand, no good. She fights for her own rebound, and to no avail is Isabella Hutchinson, and a foul looks to be on the Dragons.
A little disbelief from Zoe Korma, as I'm guessing she thought she had that one.
You can't blame her for the effort there, but
great effort by the way.
It's not football, it's basketball, and some of those little pesky plays there, it'll be fine in football, but in basketball, those fouls will be called.
Oh yes.
As Brock looks to shut the offense for the Powders. And a little miscommunication, but picking it up is Hutchinson. Skip past the Brock in the corner, drives to her right, goes baseline, and looks to be just an errant pass, goes out of bounds in favor of the Dragons.
That was Magda Lopko trying to get that ball. Put in a good effort. Ball was just too far out of reach.
You got to be pleased with both of these teams' defenses there in the second quarter. Korma looks to get the Pekin offense set up.
Yeah, both of these defenses have definitely locked up a little bit more in the second quarter. Will they be able to keep that up as the game goes on? I'm not sure. You start getting a little tired. You're not able to run as much when we get into that third, fourth quarter, and more points will start slipping through.
Lambie, so wide open underneath. Good positioning is Miley Hansen, and that's how the first half ends. The Dragons draw closer to the Potters. It's 15-17. What are your thoughts on the first half?
That last point by the Dragons closing in the game a little bit was huge. The time was running out. You get those last points. You're now within 2, making your life slightly easier, and the objective a little more obtainable now.
Exactly, and you know, when you're the Pekin Dragons at 3-4 and you're facing against almost a dynasty of sorts of a team, a girls basketball team in Morton, you know, you take any shot you get, really. I mean, it's a 2-point game. They consider that a win going into the locker room.
Yeah, that does a dividend. That serves dividends for the second half, just going into that locker room, trying to figure out, okay, we're close. We can win this one. We can totally win this one against this Morton Potters team under Bob Becker, who has just been a dynasty.
And with that being said, we like the give people a shout out if they want to advertise with Clutch Sports Media. If you want to advertise, now is your chance to advertise with Clutch. We're looking for sponsors for this basketball season. Learn more about being a sponsor. Email us at clutchsportsil@gmail.com for more information.
Lots of opportunities right there.
And now we'll hear a quick word from CSM Overtime.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime. After 4 years of preps coverage in Central Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to give you in-depth coverage of your teams,
Your stories, your stats and standings.
your highlights and action shots.
With your subscription, you'll get to see news and feature stories from all sports, up-to-date stats from around the area, and thoughtful analysis from our team of experts. As for our broadcast and social media coverage, it's only getting better.
With your support of Clutch Sports Media Overtime, we'll continue to grow our free broadcast coverage with more sports, more games, and more innovation.
And thanks to our partnership with Too Efficient Media, your social media feeds will be filled with Central Illinois' best sights and sounds. CSM Overtime will also give you access to full galleries from some of the most talented photographers and videographers in our region.
As the new season approaches, it's time for more.
More action, more stories.
More coverage of all Central Illinois sports. It's Clutch Sports Media Overtime.
Welcome back to Dougherty Hawkins Gymnasium in Pekin Community High School. And speaking of Dougherty Hawkins Gymnasium, Rodrigo, by the way, Michael Savoy alongside Rodrigo Perez here. Speaking of Dougherty Hawkins Gymnasium, I mean, what about these renovations? I mean, it looks beautiful here. I mean, you got to talk about the bleachers being renovated. You got to talk about a complex on the other side from where we are, where there's turf and there's treadmills all over the place. I mean, it's beautiful if they're done here.
Yeah, it looks, honestly, Michael, it looks great. Pekin went all out with these renovations. Brand new court, new bleachers right here in a very nice Pekin red color. Very nice training equipment in the back. I don't know if you can quite see it there, but there's even like a little artificial turf right there.
I mean, it's amazing, and it's one of the few gyms you can say in the state that even has this wasn't added obviously in the renovations, but one of the few gyms in the state that has a jumbotron in the center court. I mean, for where I'm from a smaller area, so I don't really get the feel of having a jumbotron, but I gotta say that's really cool what they've done here.
It's very nice. It's such a unique thing for a high school gym. like this. Not many high school gyms have a Jumbotron up there that you can just see, and it's small. It's not like one that you would see at Carver Arena with the Bradley Braves, but it's nice. It's gives it a nice atmosphere to it, and I don't know if it's very viewable on the broadcast, but there's even some lights that change color, turn around, and it's just great. It's the complete package here at Pekin's home ground.
Speaking of this gym, we have this girls game right now currently. Good game to this point, 15-17, but we have the boys side of the doubleheader after this game between the same two schools, Morton and Pekin, and on the call will be Jonathan Michael and myself for that game.
Yeah, a little doubleheader on a Tuesday night. Not a better way to spend that.
Also, it's great overall to have two varsity games. It's just great to have two varsity games on the same day for both schools, really.
Yeah, it makes it nice and easy to plan out the evening. Come in for the girls' game, stay for the boys' game. Hear the band. The band's been great all season, all game here.
You got to appreciate a good high school band. I mean, some bands will play the national anthem even. Some schools are really good at it. Some schools you can say need some work, but we don't judge here at Clutch Sports Media, you know. Some schools have a single singer for the national anthem. You got to appreciate some of these schools that go all out in some of those things. And
yeah,
Pekin is no different in their band.
Yeah, everyone does something a little differently. I like what Pekin's got here. They got a nice facility. They got the band playing for this game. They got a good crowd size, which we haven't talked much about. It's a decent crowd. And I'm sure we'll start seeing even more people trickle in as the boys' game starts.
The boys' game is sure to be a good one. You talk about the Morton Powders that are 8-1 right now, and they've surprised a lot of people. I mean, to themselves, they may not be as much of a surprise. They know how talented they really are, but if you haven't heard or haven't seen, they took down the defending 3A state champions in Metamora the other night. They are 8-1, and they're looking primed to be a sort of a firehouse in Class 3A, and they're going up against a team that's always pesky in the Mid-Illini in Pekin. So don't go away after this girls' game. The boys' game is sure to be a good one. And as for the girls' game, going to the locker room, what are the messages for both teams?
Well, one of the things for Morton would be to just keep being insistent in that defense. Keep just being ferocious in that defense. We talked about it in the first half. You want to take that into the second half as well. Maybe tweaking some things. You've let the Dragons climb back up a little bit, but just keeping to your principles and just tweaking things a little bit will pay dividends to the Potters as this game goes along. They just have a 2-point advantage right now. They could easily grow it, though. And for the Dragons, keep insisting. You've climbed back a little bit. Only down by 2 points now. The message in the locker room should really be, hey, we can do this. We've shown that we can climb back from this Potters team, which has Bob Becker, who built a dynasty around that Potters team. And yeah, the Dragons, they always have their surprises in their tricks in the bag.
Obviously, being a 4A team has its perks. You have a lot of girls to choose from in your school, and obviously we don't ever really see a Pekin Dragons team, at least in my memory, that has been non-competitive. They've always been competitive in their own right. And going up against, a good Morton team, a dynasty Morton team, this Pekin team has definitely held their own, and they look to keep going in the second half as they're right now warming up right now, and Morton is yet to be out, but they'll be out here in a little second, not far from the start of the second half.
Yeah, the officials beat the Morton Potters out as there they come onto the court now with a minute 20-ish to go. Cutting it a little close, but, to each his own.
And we talk about, teams to, win the Mid-Illini and girls, not just girls basketball, but just any sport really. And, Mid-Illini is always a tough conference for any sport. Yeah. And it's no exception for any sport, really, whether it's girls basketball or soccer even. It's always competitive. And Morton girls basketball has always been that one team that has their target on the back of their conference. And There's no exception here tonight, as I know the Dragons really want to take care of business against this Morton team.
Oh, yeah. Mid-Illini Conference is one of the most competitive here in Central Illinois. It's got great teams always competing for that top spot. You got your powerhouses like Morton, but you also have your surprises like Pekin, who are able to just climb out and provide some interesting talking points for us during the season.
Start of the second half, as the Dragons will start with a sitter, the Korma. And Korma looks to her left, goes to her left, stops at the free throw lane, gives it back to sitter, or excuse me, Lamb. Lamb drives into her left and misses the layup. Good contested layup try from Lamb. And the Powders will start with Hutchinson. And Van Meeden gives it off to her sister, Abigail Van Meeden. And Engel will hand it off to Amelia Van Meeden, Ellie Van Meeden. Engel off to Abigail Van Meeden. And the ball will be tipped out of bounds from a Dragon, and it will stay with Morton. So far, we're seeing good ball movement from the Powders.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've been liking about this Potters team. The ball movement's been really good. Moving it around between each other and getting that final shot.
Engel to her right, and she scores. Good layup attempt from Engel. And that gives the Powders a 4-point lead to start the half. The sitter gives it off to Korma. Korma to the middle is Miley Hansen. Hansen gives it off to Lambie, that gives it off to Barnum. Barnum, the sitter. Korma. Corner, skip past the sitter. Sitter drives in, tipped away, and out of bounds. That ball was tipped by Isabella Hutchinson. Barnum gives the ball into Dragon. And good defensive possession there from the Powders all around from the moment they started the possession. And looks like the Dragons got a 5-second call. They couldn't get a pass off.
Yeah, Potter's playing really well defense right there. It's similar to what we saw in the first quarter. We didn't quite see it in the second, but so far, Potter's starting off a lot very similar to what we saw to the start of this game.
Van Meeden to Brock. Brock back to Van Meeden. Van Meeden driving into her right. Kicks it out. Van Meeden to Engel. Engel drives in back to Brock. Brock to Van Meeden. Drives to her right on the baseline. Engel. Drives to her right. Kicks it out. Unable to hold on to it for a shot is Van Meeden. Brock back to Van Meeden. Engel for three. No good. It's good effort on both sides on getting the rebound. And it will be a jump ball. Possession arrow favors the Powders.
Yeah, that's our second jump ball.
You got to
appreciate a couple of them.
You got to appreciate both of these teams on their efforts on getting the loose balls. You know, jump balls don't come without both teams giving their fair share of effort.
Oh, of course.
Van Meeden gives it down low to her sister. Could have gone a Van Meeden connection there, but loses the ball. And another jump ball. This time will favor Pekin.
So far, we've seen a plethora of jump balls.
Something that you don't necessarily see all the time, or something you don't necessarily realize, is sometimes, you know, jump balls can just happen. And for some games, they can even dictate the game. And double team by the Powders is Barnum, and she loses the ball. And possession arrow does favor Morton. So once again, this Powders team playing great defense, and it goes to their benefit. They get possession.
Yeah, we keep bringing up the Potters defense, and that's just because it's been so consistent and so well run. which I'm sure has been a core of Bob Becker's team.
Brock to Van Meeden. Drives in. And a foul on the ground. Goes on Pekin. So the shot will not count, and Morton will look to pass the ball in. We're approaching halfway to go in the third quarter as Hutchinson drives in, unable to finish. Rebound Van Meeden, and she will finish. And timeout Pekin.
Good rebound. That ball did a little dance around the rim. Eventually came in though.
We're approaching halfway to go in the third quarter. The score is 15-21. So far, a 3-4 Pekin team holding their own against a really good Morton Potters team.
Yeah, not exactly what I was hoping for the Pekin to come out with. I was hoping they'd come out a little more guns blazing, trying to just climb up a little more, but that Morton defense just is unstoppable. They've just not been able to pass through that fortress that Bob Becker's just had with his team.
It's really something you got to marvel your eyes at is just how good they are at defense. I mean, they don't take any possessions off, it feels like, and they make you earn your buckets. Nothing comes easy with this Morton Potters defense.
That's a great way of seeing it. They make you earn your buckets. I like that.
I mean, in a way, you can say that Morton has bamboozled this Pekin team in terms on the defensive end, because Pekin, I mean,
yeah, that's one way of saying it. Yeah.
I mean, in a way, it's been hard for Pekin all day, all night. As the Dragons look to break this Morton defense, and Brock's having nothing of it. Trapped at the top of the key, and Lamb.
One thing we haven't really talked about this Morton Potters defense, the speed and the pressure that they give to the Dragons is incredible. No wonder the Dragons haven't been able to do much.
A foul is called on the Potters. Covert was driving to the basket to her right. And that's one thing that you see with a lot of aggressive defenses, that they might commit fouls, but we haven't seen much out of this Morton team. They're just a complete defensive team. Korma. Back to Barnum. Wide open on the top. And falling is Lamb, and there'll be a travel. It looks like she might have tripped on her own feet, and that does happen at times. Not everyone's perfect.
Yeah, it did seem like she got maybe a little stuck between something there, but it does happen at times.
Engel driving to the basket to her left, and she finishes. Engel doing it by herself. Man powers her way to the basket for two. Korma. Trapped again at the top of the key. Look at Brock's defense.
She's persistent.
She definitely is. Brock slips and falls. Korma for three. Unable to go. Rebound. And look at both of these teams again going right after the ball. And this time it'll be a foul on the Potters. Or the Dragons, So far, we're seeing both of these teams really give it their all on the loose ball side of things. It's resulted in a lot of tie-ups, a lot of loose balls that have been fouls. Just good effort from both teams to this point. Driving in is Van Meeden. Gives it out to Brock. Brock goes to her left. Pokes away from Korma. Will poke it away from Brock. Van Meeden. To the other Van Meeden. Hutchinson at the top of the key, gives it to Brock. The Ellie Van Meeden. To her right. What a move. And she scores. What a move. Faking like she's going to go right, but goes baseline and gets the easy two.
Completely tricked her defender. It was incredible move. And that just gave them a 10-point lead. for the Potters.
And that forces Brett McGinnis to call a timeout. And not what Pekin really wanted here to start the half. I mean, they had Morton on the ropes, only a 2-point deficit going into the half. A win they can probably consider by their standards, going up against a really good Morton team, but now they're down by 10.
Yeah, what hope that Pekin had has been completely dissolved. You're down by 10 now, 2:20 left in this third quarter. You still have one more, so there's still chance for the Dragons to come away with a win. They're just going to have to be a little more persistent, try to find a way past that Morton defense, which is not an easy task.
You have to earn your buckets against this Morton defense, and when you get your opportunities to shoot the basketball, you got to make the most out of that opportunity. And so far, Morton's had trouble shooting Pekin's had trouble shooting the basketball to this point, especially in the second half. Look at Brock on the inbounds pass. Katie Brock with the steal and gives it off to Van Meeden, and she looks up to set up the offense as Brock.
It's those extra things, the steals, the pressure that makes the Morton defense so special.
Katie Brock is right in the middle of that. She's been all over the place to this point as Ellie Van Meeden gives it off to Engel, and Engel scores.
Double digit for Engel now, 10 points.
It's a 12-point lead for the Potters, 15-27. It is a foul. A little too aggressive on the defensive end is Addie Engel, and she picks up the reach-in. And 2-point lead for Morton in halftime, and now they've jumped up to a 12-point lead. So,
yeah, we've been talking a lot about the Morton defense, but offensively they've been great. Like, look at the lead they have in right now.
The steal, good double team from the Potters, and you look to push up the pace. It's Engel again, drives in. A Euro step sort of move and finishes with the right hand. What a pretty move by Engel, Addison Engel.
That's 12 right there. 12 points for her, a 14 lead now for the Potters.
And a 3 falls. That's Miley Hansen. And looks like Pekin's trying to get something going here on offense. Good 3-point shot there. Brock gives it off to Ellie Hansen. Hutchinson drives in, poked away and out of bounds. It'll stay with Morton. Subbing in for the Potters is 23 Anja Ruxlow and 31 Paige Selke.
Haven't seen too much from Miley Hansen in this one, but 5 points so far. 53 seconds left in this quarter, another quarter left. She definitely has a chance to help her team out.
Skip pass goes to Selk. Down low, and it's a little error into Engel, and the Potters turn the ball over. Sitter looks to the offense for the Dragons, as looks like Morton's in a 1-3-1 zone, so the Dragons will get 3-pointers out of the zone if they play it correctly. And batted away is Engel, and Brock has it. Back to Engel. Engel looks to drive in at the Hansen, that is Ruxlow, and a foul.
Engel and Brock have been relentless on defense. And that little action right there was great. Both keeping up that pressure. They're playing as if they don't have such a big lead.
Sierra Sitter commits the foul for the Dragons. As Brock looks to pass it in, Ruxlow. Down low and scoring is Magda Lopko. And that increases the Potters' lead. Shot is blocked. That was the remaining seconds, the final shot. That was Allison Barnum. She was not able to get the shot off. She was double teamed. I mean, this Potters defense has been ferocious all over the place. I mean, we can't say enough about them.
Yeah, we've said a lot about this Potters defense, but the Potters offense has also been incredible. Coming away with such a big lead with still a quarter left is just going to leave the Dragons with searching for answers in this last quarter.
Want to advertise with Clutch Sports Media? Well, here's your chance. Clutch Sports Media is looking for sponsors for this basketball season. To learn more about being a sponsor email us at clubsportsil@gmail.com for more information. And so you can sponsor for almost anything, whether it be the broadcast or social media. You can do it all. It's a great opportunity for many of the local businesses inside the 309.
If I had a business, I'd try to get that sponsorship.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Club Sports Media, we broadcast a lot of high-key games, marquee games, and it's a good way to get your brand out there.
Good opportunities.
And
Now the Dragons are going to need to look for some opportunities here as they come into this last quarter with a bit of a disadvantage.
certainly, you got to talk about the point differential in terms of what they went into in the first half and in the end of the third quarter. Is as scoring for the Powders is Paige Selke. But when you talk about where Pekin was at in the first half to now, I mean, they were only down by 2 in the end of the first half, and now they're down by, what's to be, 15.
Yeah, more than 2. So
Definitely more than 2. It was a turnover. Van Beeden looks to drive in, kicks it out to Lopko, and Lopko drives in, misses the shot, gets a rebound, kicks it out. Brock to Allie Van Beeden, and she turns the ball over. Looks like Pekin's holding their own on the defensive end. They just got to get stuff going on the offense side. The skip pass to Korma. Korma with the mid-range jumper is no good. Strips the ball, tries to get it back, but no avail. Van Beeden looks to drive in, one-on-one, and she scores. What a pretty Euro step to the left hand.
great move. A lot faster of a game in this fourth quarter. Both teams opening up a little bit more. Pekin's going to need to try to find those points and try to find those openings.
Really, the story of the fourth quarter and really the second half for this Morton team is their defense creating offense. They get a lot of transition baskets. They're getting a lot of layups, as there's an example there. As Brock looks to drive into her right, kicks it out. Short corner shot for Selke is no good. Rebound Pekin.
Teamwork was there. Just a little bit too much on that shot.
Here's Sitter. Out the Korma. Drops it down to Lambie. Lambie back up top to Hansen. Hansen back to Korma. A three-pointer shot, no good. The rebound again is Sitter, and she also does not convert that. And a foul. A foul on Lambie. Or excuse me, no, a tie-up. And that possession arrow will favor Pekin. Looked to be more of a foul there. She definitely was more aggressive there, but a tie-up nonetheless.
Yeah, she hit the ground a little hard. Sure, she's okay. Got back up right away.
Looking to pass the ball in the Korma. And she looks to set up the Pekin offense that definitely needs a spark. They've been outscored quite a bit since the end of the first half. The three-pointer there is no good. And unable to grab the rebound were a couple more Powders. And Addie Engel was just not able to hold on to the basketball, and he'll stay with Pekin. As Covert kicks it back out. Korma to her left. Kicks it out again. And a turnover. Stocky throws it away for the Dragons. Out the Engel. And Engel takes it herself and finishes again. She's pretty good with her left hand. That's what I think counting now 3 drives with the left hand, the 3 finishes.
Yeah, Engel's just been unstoppable. 14 points in this one.
Three-pointer from Stocky is no good. And it'll be a foul on the floor. So the loose ball foul goes against the Powders.
Time's dwindling for the Dragons here at home as they look for their first conference win. While Morton, it's just another day at the office.
It certainly feels that way. As Korma, what a move. a pump fake and unable to finish, but nonetheless, a great move. There's a 2-on-1 fast break for the Powders. That's out of bounds, but it was touched by a Powder when the Powder was out of bounds, so it will be Pekin basketball. It's a timeout from Becker and the Morton team. So we talk about, looking into what these teams' records are and what this means to both teams. Like you mentioned, for Pekin, they're 3-4, they're 0-1. They're trying to get their first conference win, which it looks more bleak now than it did in the end of the first half. Let's put it that way. Pekin was only down by 2 in the end of the first half, but ever since the start of the second half, Morton has pulled away, so right now it stands as a 19-point ball game. They're also trying to get the 500, which they're at 3-4. If they won today, if they concluded the win today, they would have definitely done that. So
yeah, that first half was a bit of a wake-up call for the Potters, who maybe were a little confident in themselves, not turning up the Jets as much. But now in the second half, they learned their lesson, and they've just been relentless, driving to the basket constantly and developing quite a substantial lead.
They being unable to finish at the basket, and looks like Morton, 19-point lead. We're still relentless on defense as Hutchinson, will get the easy 2. And then they got 2 times the lead, and they're still playing ferocious defense.
Yeah, they're definitely not letting up at all. They're still treating this like it's another game. Like the game is still up for grabs.
It's Leah Brown for Pekin, the new sub, gets fouled by a Powder. And she will shoot 2 at the strike. First shot is good. I mean, really, for Pekin, I'm not going to say this game's over by any means necessary, but it's a 20-point game. I'm not saying it's over at all. 20-point game. What do you want to take out of this in the last 4 minutes of this game? What do you want? If I'm the coach of Pekin, what do I want out of my team?
Well, honestly, you just want to see a couple good minutes of basketball. Maybe not winning the quarter, but not winning the game, but winning the quarter at least, and just seeing a bit of a response from the Dragons, because this is a great matchup for the Dragons. This is a good measurement of against a really good team, and you just gotta take it with a grain of salt. And we're still early in the season. We're in mid-December-ish, so we're not at the end game yet. So you can still tweak things here and there, but this is a good way to measure yourself against the local competition.
We've said this all night. The Morton defense has been unbelievable, and they've definitely stifled this Pekin offense. I mean, Pekin, they almost feel like they have nothing they can do. Like, it's just been that type of night for them, as there's a foul on the Dragons, a little too aggressive there. Was Leah Brown.
Yeah, nothing's really gone their way for the Dragons here at home, but still early in the season. You could still make a bit of a run to the playoffs. So that one just orbits the rim and just goes out.
One of those suspenseful shots that just orbits the rim. You almost think it might go in, it might not go in, and people are holding their breath like, oh my gosh, can this ball go in? And it just doesn't there, but nonetheless, Paige Selke, the girl who shot that shot, does get fouled. So she'll shoot you at the line.
Gravity must have been a little off right there in that section of the court.
She misses her first and awaits her second. 0 for 2 at the line, but the Powders do get their own rebound and ripped away another jump ball, and it will favor the Powders. We're approaching 3 minutes left to go. 20-39 is where we stand. The Powders out on a 19-point lead. As Selke drives in and she scores. The Powders reach 40 and a 21-point lead. Stocky gives it out to Kaylee Siddell. That got the Leah Brown. And Barnum, the ball is thrown away. Some notable Dragons that we have not pointed out do subs. And that makes the majority of their starting 5 now. Kaylee Siddell looks to set up the offense for the Dragons. Just looking to take the lid off the basket, looking to get some good shots here. Been tough to do against this Morton Potters defense.
Yeah, I like that move from the Dragons coach, Brett McGinnis, just giving some of the other players a little bit of chance to play against such a powerful opponent.
And an offensive foul, that was huge for the Dragons' morale boost. You gotta love it when your players put their bodies on the line for those charge calls. It looked like Selke was going to take it all the way, and she definitely did, but leading with the shoulder a little too much draws the offensive foul.
Yeah, the bench, the coach, the fans definitely seem to love that one.
Siddell looks to use the pick, gives it out to Stocky. Stocky drives to her right, skip pass out. This is the corner 3 from Brown is no good. Laufenberg for the Potters loses the ball, and it'll be with the Dragons. Less than 2 minutes to go. It's looking more bleak by the second for the Dragons. Unable to really get anything going with this Potters defense. And they are trailing by 20.
Yeah, Potters defense has just been on lockdown all night. Not really letting much space, much breathing room for the Dragons.
It's a steal by Morton is Lopko. Skip pass out to the corner. It's Laufenberg. Back out Amelia Miller. And it's tipped out by a Dragon. And then you got to see all the subs coming in for Pekin. I mean, they're doing pretty much they're doing pretty much 5s when they do substitutions.
Yeah.
And you got to think they're just trying new things out, knowing that they may not win this game. And the timeout by Becker. And as we're winding down towards the end of this game, don't go away, folks. The boys' side of the doubleheader is coming up between the same 2 schools, the Morton Potters and the Pekin Dragons. It's going to be a great game. A very pesky Pekin team meets what most people in this area would say is a surprise. The Morton Potters, an 81 Morton Potters team that just knocked down the defending 3A state champions in Metamora. So don't go away, folks. Keep your eyes on Clutch Sports Media.
Oh, yeah, that one's going to be a great one. And we actually saw that Metamora Washington, that Metamora Morton game on Clutch Sports Media, right?
We definitely did.
Yeah, so if you want to take a look at that one, you could definitely go back to the past streams and see that one for yourself.
It's really just a game that, you know, going into it, Pekin, not necessarily a powerhouse in their class, not necessarily what people would say a powerhouse in the conference, but like I've said, they're always pesky. They always give teams a run for their money, and Dowdy Hawkins Gymnasium, a very tough place to play. An inbound in the Selke, and she will score with the left hand. A good inbounds play leads to an easy 2. We are approaching 80 seconds left to go. A minute 20. 20-43. Potters on top of the Dragons. And it looks to be sort of a pass is intercepted on the fast break. Goes Morton, and no good. And got numbers on the fast break. That is Cadence Covert, excuse me, with the bucket. Now we're seeing both teams run. Laufenberg down low. Skip pass out. A 3-ball from Amelia Miller is no good. It's a rebound from Dragons, and approaching 30 seconds, they're just looking to find any positives coming out of this game.
Yeah, they keep pushing. Even though they're down, even though there's 30 seconds left, they keep pushing. Just trying to go out on a high note.
Korma goes to her right and no good. And we are approaching 10 seconds. A spin move and no good. Selke just looks to finish, and she does. And 5 seconds left. That'll do it. The Morton Potters keep their undefeated conference winning streak alive. They keep going in their season, and they pick up a massive 45-22 win over the Pekin Dragons. Rodrigo, your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, this one was really interesting just because of the fact of how that first half played out with it being so close. It was within 2 points, and then just how both teams came out in the second half. Morton was just unstoppable on defense, unstoppable on offense, just translated in that way. And yeah, the Dragons just weren't able to find a way offensively or defensively to keep the Potters from scoring points or from scoring points themselves. So this was a very interesting matchup. And like we said, it's early in the year. They still have lots of games to go through. We haven't seen the best from both of these teams. They're only going to get better as the year goes on, and just makes me really excited about watching more Mid-Illini basketball.
Certainly, you say it's early in the season, and I gotta say, for most teams, I feel like you don't play your best basketball until after the Christmas tournaments. Even some people can say during the Christmas tournaments.
Yeah.
So both of these teams still trying to feel each other out. We saw a close game or in the halftime, obviously. So obviously, Morton has some stuff to work on, and so does Pekin. And for Bob Becker, yet another win for the legendary head coach, one of the best to ever do it. Not only in Morton, not only in Central Illinois, but in the entire state. He picks up win number 560. So what a run he's been on.
He's got quite the stats for himself. He's been working wonders with this Morton Potters team, and we just saw a pretty good defensive performance right there, which translated really well offensively.
Certainly, and for folks who wonder, want to advertise at Club Sports Media? Well, here's your chance. Club Sports Media is looking for sponsors for this basketball season. To learn more about being a sponsor, email us at clubsportsil@gmail.com for more information. If you want to sponsor our coverages, we broadcast a lot of marquee games, a lot of games that people want to tune in and see, and when you shout out your local business, get your brand out. Or if you want to shout us, if you want to do it on social media, then this is a good way to do it. Get your brand out. And that'll do it for us for the boys game, as the Morton Potters take care of business against the Pekin Dragons for the girls part of our doubleheader, 45-22. We are taking a quick break. Stay on stream. Stay on for some boys for coverage of the boys game that will start approximately at 6:50 to 6:55. Don't go away, folks.
from the Dottie Hawkins Memorial Gymnasium. It's the second half of a boys and girls doubleheader live here on Clutch Sports Media. It's the Morton Potters and the Pekin Dragons. Hello everyone, good evening to you. Hope you're having a great Tuesday. I'm Jonathan Michael here alongside Michael Savoy. And Michael, we just saw the Morton Potters girls team beat Pekin 45-22 just a couple minutes ago. Both teams on the court now. The boys teams ready to warm up. Both the Potters and the Dragons having very good starts to the season so far. Morton's at 8-1, Pekin's at 6-2. Really good early season matchup between these Mid-Illini teams.
For sure, and Morton's riding high right now. They've just gotten a couple big, massive wins against Metamora and Champaign Central, and they're riding high going into this game. But don't count out the Pekin Dragons, also at 6-2 and also undefeated in Mid-Illini Conference play. Both teams 2-0 in the Mid-Illini.
You said it, both teams, you talk about it, where they finished in the Mid-Illini the last couple of years. Morton traditionally has finished a little bit higher than Pekin, but, Pekin's always been in the mix. They're 2-0 in Mid-Illini play to start the year, so that's a good sign. A win here against Morton would be huge, considering that Morton, again, just beat reigning state champion Metamora, broke the Redbirds' 23-game Mid-Illini Conference win streak back on Friday. So we'll talk more about that game here in just a second, but Pekin as well, 6-2, 2-0. Jeremy Crouches, they got the Dragons playing some pretty good basketball. Like you said, big wins. They beat Dunlap by 1. They beat Champaign Central by 2 in overtime a little over a week or so ago. So a couple of those wins have been pretty narrow, but a win is a win is a win. That's what they'll say. And it doesn't really matter what the margin is as long as it is a W. And talk about the Pekin Dragons. You're looking for a big game out of Matthew Jurgens, a returning first-team All-Mid-Illini pick from last year. Matthew
Jurgens, if he plays good, this Pekin team will play good. They revolve their play around him. So look for him to have a big night if the Dragons want to take care of business against the Potters.
And talk about key players on Morton. There's a couple of them that we could mention. We'll go with Gus Rugard, though, Michael. He had a really big week last week for Morton. Had 2 free throws with no time left on the clock. Very pressure-packed situation. Made both of them to send it to overtime against Champaign Central. Morton obviously then won that game, 61-58, back on Saturday. Rugard also led the team with 16 in their win over Metamora, had 15 in a loss to Peoria High. So he's going to be good for them. We saw him play the TOC a couple weeks ago. He's a good shooter, but he can really do it all for Morton.
Morton's a team that, they're not 8-1 for any bad reason. They're a really good team. They can play a complete game. They have players such as Evan Barlow that can score, and like you mentioned, Gus Rugard. They're a team by committee. They have a lot of players that can do a lot of different things.
They definitely can. We're going to step aside here quick for our national anthem and come back with the starting lineups and live coverage from Dottie Hawkins Gymnasium right after this.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime. After 4 years of preps coverage in Central Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to give you in-depth coverage of your teams,
your stories, your stats and standings,
your highlights and action shots.
With your subscription, you'll get to see news and feature stories from all sports, up-to-date stats from around the area, and thoughtful analysis from our team of experts. As for our broadcast and social media coverage, it's only getting better.
With your support of Clutch Sports Media Overtime, we'll continue to grow our free broadcast coverage with more sports, more games, and more innovation.
And thanks to our partnership with Too Efficient Media, your social media feeds will be filled with Central Illinois' best sights and sounds. CSM Overtime will also give you access to full galleries from some of the most talented photographers and videographers in our region.
As the new season approaches, it's time for more.
More action. More stories.
More coverage of all Central Illinois sports. It's Clutch Sports Media Overtime.
welcome back inside Dottie Hawkins Gymnasium. Starting lineups for both teams. We'll bring them to you right now. We'll start with the visitors, the Morton Potters. Their starting five will be a 6'4" senior Evan Barlow, Florida Gulf Coast commit as a preferred walk-on. Joining him will be Gus Rugard, the senior guard who we just mentioned. Trip Rugard, the younger brother of Gus, a junior guard standing at 5'11". Cal Boker, a 6'6" junior forward, been a big presence down low in the paint for the Potters. And then Wes Gudeman, a 6'4" junior forward who's done some major work already this season, rounding it out for the Potters. And for Pekin, their starting five will be like this. Current Clark, a 6-foot junior, or senior guard, I should say, wearing number 1 in white. He'll be joined by Matthew Jurgens, who we mentioned, the 6'3" senior guard, as well as Connor Martin, a 5'10" senior guard, multi-sport athlete here at Pekin Community High School. Peyton Hess, a 6'4" junior forward, who's had some big scoring outputs already this season. And Daniel Cash, a 5'10" senior guard for Pekin, rounding it out. So, Michael, they're going a slightly smaller lineup. Obviously, Jurgens a pretty big guard at 6'3". Just one forward, though, at least by trade. That's Peyton Hess down low. Morton's, you mentioned, they have some size on their roster as well, so maybe Pekin trying to go small, maybe possibly try and beat Morton that way here tonight.
Well, my keys to the game for Pekin would just be starting out the gates high. You know, they have the home court advantage. So, you know, maybe they want to go smaller and try to get some more shooters on the court, maybe try to hit some threes to start out the gate. And, you know, if you're going small against any team that's bigger, a key is to box out. And you got to box out well, you got to get rebounds, and you can't let the size dictate the glass. And while we're at it, my keys to the game for Morton is just to keep the momentum going. You know, they've got some really good wins. They're 8-1. They got to go into this game with the same fire they went into when they played Metamora, and they'll have a good chance of winning this game.
It certainly can. Mid-Illini at this point is very wide open, Michael. You know, I think it's more open than some people may think, especially since, you know, Morton beat Metamora, showed that, you know, any team can be human. And I think that's also a key for Morton tonight, is because, you know, their win over Metamora back on Friday, you know, what they did to the Redbirds, Pekin could just as easily do here to the Potters. A lot of good teams right now in the Mid-Illini this year. It's the Dragons with it. Here's Jurgens handing off to Clark on the wing. He's guarded by Rugard. And now here's Jurgens on Becker, turning around. Shot is good. That's Peyton Hess, the 6'4" forward, getting the scoring started early for Pekin.
On a smaller Pekin starting five, it is the forward by trade that gets the first bucket.
Here's Morton the other way. Here's Trip Rugard in his first full season as the full-time starting point guard for Morton. He's been pretty impressive. Finds his brother Gus in the corner. It's good. And that's how easily Morton can hurt you, Michael. That brotherly connection certainly there, and Trip Rugard, a good distributor. Gus, a great shooter. Dragons going baseline. Here's Jurgens dialing up a three. That one's good, and the response.
It's good extra passing. Finds Jurgens, the All-Mid-Illini player, first team, hits the big three.
Jurgens drawing some college interest at the D3 level currently. He's got an offer from Milliken, but I think his offer list may grow as the season goes along. Here's Morton on the other end, and Barlow with it. Go around the perimeter, peeking in a man-to-man defense. Now they go back to more of a zone. Here's Rugard on the wing, off the mark, and who's got it? Pekin does, and Peyton Hess. Now Clark with it. Working on Trip Rugard. Now Jurgens had it stripped away from Rugard, and that's going to be a travel. There as Rugard's feet were on the ground. Nice steal, though. Nice aggressiveness from the junior guard. It's been all over the place here early on.
Very good aggressive defense, and it's just unfortunate that he took a little bit extra of a role, and that's an obvious travel. But once again, just good aggressive defense.
Morton's defense has been outstanding so far this year. They've allowed more than 50 points only twice this season. A lot of times they have teams in the 30s or 40s. That's a pretty good recipe to win some ball games. Now here's Pekin with an early lead. Jumper from Hess is off the back iron and brought in by Gudeman. Dragons bring a little bit of a press.
A little bit of a aggressive half-court setup defense. Ooh, Trip Rogard is wide open on cutting.
He'll pass it out. Barlow with deep three off the front iron and brought in wide open on the fast break. It's Curran Clark. That's what the easiest bucket you'll have. Got out in transition very quickly after the miss and led to a pretty high percentage look. Good student section on hand. The Fire Pit Nation has certainly showed up here in Pekin tonight.
They'll need to be a factor if they want to beat the best of the best in this conference, like Morton.
Here's Gudeman on the drive, kicks it out. Barlow steps into a three. Money. He looks comfortable with that shot. And Morton closes it to a 1-point deficit after 2 3 balls to get their scoring started. First Gus Rugard, then Barlow.
Barlow stepped into that three like he's been taking those threes all practice. That was very comfortable for him.
Here's Hess. Forward who can't shoot it, as has Daniel Cash. That one, though, off the mark. And now here comes Morton the other way. The scoreboard here in Dottie Hawkins' gym says it's 7-5. Michael, I believe it's 6-5 Morton, if I'm not mistaken. Unless I missed a free throw earlier.
I think there might have been a foot in the line on a three-point shot that might have been considered a three by the scorekeepers, but we might have counted it as a two, but nonetheless, not entirely sure.
We'll roll with it for now. At lead. Or rather, a 7-5 lead for Pekin, rather. Now Morton makes it an 8-7 ball game. Rugard's second three goes down, so he's got 6. Pekin does, in fact, have 7, so we're all good. Error up here in the booth, not down at the scorer's table, as Clark is in some trouble. Nice defense from Rugard. He'll find Martin. He'll drive. Now kicking back out. Here's Hess with the reverse. No good.
And Hess has been shown to take a lot of shots in the early going.
Driving in Barlow, and that one is up and good with, it's like that was Clark closing in on him from Pekin. So 5 straight points for Morton has them, a 10-7 lead here in the early going. Clark falls to the ground to a knee right in front of Rugard, but it'll go off of a Potter and stick with the Dragons.
Chirp Rugard, really aggressive on the defensive end. He's been a catalyst for this Padres team.
Does a bit of it all for Morton. Had 7 points, 3 boards, 4 assists against Metamora. It's kind of one of those glue guys for your team. Here's Dominic Hawkins into the game. The other tower for Pekin. He finds Curran Clark there for the wide open mid-range. Up and good. Dominic Hawkins, a breakout candidate for Pekin this year. He's committed to play at Olivet Nazarene following the end of his senior season.
Olivet Nazarene, the local NAIA college by where I'm from, so they've gotten some good basketball talent there, and they have a really good program, really respectable program in their level.
Cross-court pass over to Rugard, who drives in and loses track of it. Gudeman had it for a second, and the referees say it went off of Hawkins. It'll stay with the Potters. When Pekin brings in a lineup of Cash, Hawkins, and Jurgens, Michael, it's maybe not a lineup like, say Metamora, where you have Luke Hopp and Cooper Koch at 6'8", 6'9", but you got guys at 6'3", 6'4", 6'4". Pretty sizable lineup there from Pekin. Now they'll go a little bit smaller as Hess on the bench. Now Hawkins, the big man in there, he's on Cal Boker. A 6-6 forward for Morton. Here's a drive from Grant Selke driving up and in. Morton's got a deep bench, and Selke's the first one to strike.
One of the features of this 8-1 Potters team is that they have a bench full of players that can do almost anything. You gotta have a lot of depth if you want to be successful in 3A and the bigger levels of IHSA.
And it really separates a good team from a great team is being able to go 7, 8, 9 deep, and Morton's got the guys to do that. Here's a three in the corner from Tyler Filarski. It's good. Pekin showing off their three-point shooting strokes, and we're all dotted up at 12 with just over a minute left to play in quarter number 1.
Filarski, a big three-pointer. It gets the game tied.
12 all here in the early going. What should be a great Mid-Illini battle between two teams that have been very impressive. Gudeman's left wide open in the corner, but just off to the right. That one will go back to Pekin, and they'll have the opportunity to take a lead. It's been a good year so far for the Mid-Illini teams in red. Pekin, Morton, Metamora, 3 of the top teams in the conference right now, but you also go into other shades of red like Maroon, East Peoria, Dunlap. They're off to pretty decent starts this year, and even Limestone, they're the opposite of red. They're blue, but talking about them, they've had not a bad start. You look at them on paper, they're 1-5 right now, but 3 really close losses and a really close miss there from the Dragons. As now Morton goes the other way. Rugard kicks it back out. Here's Alex McKee, the star sophomore. Part of that deep bench, and now Barlow 6 with it on the offensive end, rolls around and in. Barlow now up to 6 early points for Morton.
Pekin's got to box out in that situation. They know they're the smaller team coming in. Most of the lineups will feature a smaller 5 than Morton, so they got to box out, and they can't let Morton get second chance opportunities.
Dragons with the opportunity to tie or take the lead, and they can take a bigger lead. Is Morton. Barlow in transition, and the slam. What a play to end the first quarter. A deep 3 from Owen Gordon is off the mark for Pekin. But a neck-and-neck first half. Evan Barlow, though, gives Morton a big jolt to momentum heading into the second frame.
How about some thunder from Evan Barlow? Nuclear slam. And just like that, I mean, the game was tied towards the end of the first quarter, but Morton's starting to find some momentum, especially at that dunk, and they go into the second quarter with a 4-point lead.
8 points from Evan Barlow. He's got half of Morton's scoring so far. I want to take this opportunity to remind you that if you want to advertise with us, our ways of communication are open. You can visit our website for more details. You can contact us there, or you can also email us at clutchsportsil.com or clutchsportsil@gmail.com for more information. Clutchsportsil.com is our website where you may be watching right now, either that or on our YouTube channel. Either way, we're glad you're spending your Tuesday with us for some midweek madness here on Clutch Sports Media. Big time matchup between two Mid-Illini teams, off to good starts. Real quick before the second quarter gets started, Michael, I think, a lot of people were maybe surprised by Morton's win over Metamora on Friday, 51-44, but we saw them at the TOC. They won 3 quality matchups to start their season, and obviously I think Metamora is still the team to beat in the Mid-Illini, but I don't think, Morton's win over them was as much of a surprise as maybe some people would think, as Rugard's mid-range goes off the glass, so we're going to foul here. I believe that will go on Juergens of Pekin.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about surprises, people around the area know how talented Metamora is, but not a lot of people understand how talented this Potters team is. So for most people, it could be seen as a surprise that, hey, you just beat the defending 3A state champions, but for Morton, it's not much of a surprise to them.
This team is confident. They're also using a patient approach this year in their first year under head coach Abe Zeller. Big-time name around the area who came over from Roanoke Benson. Evan Barlow is up to double figures already. He's got 10 after that lay-in of Morton's 18. Now here comes Clark the other way. Pekin wants a response with another seal in. Now here comes a 4-on-1 break. Selke, nice deflection by Pekin, but Rugard finishes it up and in. And now all of a sudden, a combustion from the Potters has resulted in a 8-point lead.
Nice finish by Rugard, the double clutch, and it was really started by the Evan Barlow slam to end the first quarter. That momentum has carried into the second quarter.
Another tipped pass, that was Gus Rugard. That'll stay with Pekin, but Morton's defense has been relentless so far in the early going. A lot of candidates, Michael, for the Crafty Award that Morton gives out. It's a gold chain. I'm not sure if it's actual gold or just plastic. My guess is the latter, but you never know. And it has Morton's logo, Clay the Potter, which you see on your score bug there at the bottom of your screen. And it's given to the player after each game that has the most hustle points. As a turnaround is good from Hess. Cut the deficit to 6. What a cool little incentive. A lot of teams have those chains that they like to give out. A lot of football teams use them, but Morton basketball uses them as well. And I gotta say, it's quite the good-looking accessory. I have to head to Morton Potter's basketball Twitter to check it out. Pretty cool-looking thing to wear on your neck, as that'll be a travel there on Pekin.
It's always nice to have schools give out incentives like that. In football, most high school football teams will do it nowadays, where they give out a chain for like a turnover with their defense, and it's always beneficial to wear a nice chain like that when you get a nice steal in basketball or a nice loose ball grab, stuff like that.
There's a hustle play from Matthew Jurgens as he falls into his own bench. He'll stay here with Morton. Barlow and Gus Rugard have combined for 18 of Morton's 20 points. The other basket coming from Selke. Now here's Gudeman doing some work down low. Kicks it. Down low to Boker. Little rainbow shot up and in, and his first bucket is good. He's the reigning Crafty Award winner, Cal Boker. Here's Cash with it now for Pekin, guarded tightly by Rugard. Now over to Morton on the wing. And it's going to be a timeout, I believe, called by Jeremy Crouch, and the Pekin Dragons offense looked a little stagnant there, so they'll try and draw something up. This will be a 30-second timeout for Pekin. Jeremy Crouch in his third season on the sideline of the Pekin Dragons. Led them to a 5th place finish in the conference last year, but has his sights set on bigger things this year. Jeremy Crouch, a Peoria Hoops legend, played here at Pekin and then was quite the shooter where you currently go, Michael, and my alma mater, Bradley University. And we mentioned before the game, Pekin's always had some pretty good shooters, and I think it's probably easy to see why. You got Jeremy Crouch as your head coach, one of the best that this era has ever seen in terms of shooting behind the arc.
It's very nice for Pekin to have a head coach like Jeremy Crouch. Some head coaches, they could be a little taller. They could teach their kids how to rebound with the best of them. Jeremy Crouch, he's one of those coaches that, he's played in the highest level of college basketball, Division I, and he was one hell of a shooter with the Bradley Braves. So if there's anyone to learn about shooting from whoever in the area, it's probably Jeremy Crouch.
It's also the boys golf coach at Pekin, of which 2 Dragons, Current Clark and Tyler Filarski, are members of. Pekin's got a pretty good golf team just about every year. Although Morton won the Mid-Illini Conference in golf this year. Gudeman down low. Nice little tap-in putt to stick with the golf analogies there. In fact, Owen Adams, a sophomore on Morton, is the reigning Mid-Illini Conference champion in golf. Now peeking the other way. Here's Jurgens on the drive. Barlow tried to draw a charge. Play moves on. Here's Gudeman in the corner. Rugard thought about a 3 before Cash and Morton closed in on him. Now here's Gudeman. And Morton will slow things down, leading by 10 midway through quarter number 2.
There's no reason to rush anything. If you're Morton, you have the double-digit lead. You can take your time and get a good shot here.
Here's Trip Rugard finding Goodman. He'll post up on Jurgens. Now kick out. Morton continue to move it around. Here's Barlow. He's got the hot hand with 10 tonight.
It's a 2-3 zone played by the Dragons, making it a little bit more confusing for Morton. Hopefully that stifles up their offense.
At least in the high school level right now, it could be a gamble. It could pay off. You know, Morton's been able to win the possession battle with this long possession. Will it end in a made shot? Rugard will see. Looks good, but just a bit too strong. That was easily a college range, almost an NBA range through there from Gus Rugard. He can pull up from just about anywhere on the court.
Definitely not afraid to let the threes fly from anywhere on the court. And for Morton, I mean, that's a good possession. You know, Pekin in a zone defense, you don't need to hurry up with any shot. Just get a good shot. And for Gus Rugard, that is a good shot for him. Not a good shot for everyone, but a good shot for him. Long-range three.
Current Clark was open momentarily for a three. Decided to slow things down. Here's Hawkins now at the top of the key. Put the ball on the deck and pass over to Morton. Driving in left.
Pekin really needs a basket here.
Could use one. Down by 10. Hawkins will throw one up. I don't think he really didn't have much time to see where the basket was after turning around there. Rugard finds Barlow on the wing for a three, and it's off the mark. And brought in by Hawkins. Here's 3-on-2. And Gordon skips it over to Clark. His three ball is just a bit short. And Barlow brings in the miss.
I would have loved for Pekin to get an easy layup off of that 3-on-2. They had numbers in that situation. That'll live another day.
Scoring is taking a bit of a pause here late in quarter number 2. But a fast-moving game, as was the girls' game right before this. And Morton won that one 45-22. Addie Engel led all scorers from the Potters with 14. Here's Rugard now, pass fakes. Now he'll go over to Barlow in the corner. Yes, sir! Evan Barlow. He's got 13 for Morton, nearly half of their points, and he's almost outscoring Pekin on his own.
He was wide open in that zone. It was just a miscommunication by Pekin, and the Dragons will take their timeout, but that was just a miscommunication. You can't leave someone like Barlow wide open on the wing.
It's been Barlow and Rugard. They've been the dynamic duo for Morton, the two horsemen of the apocalypse, you could say, however you want to put it. They've been huge for Morton. Barlow's got 13, Rugard has 8. But going back to that deep bench, though, Michael, that we mentioned earlier, you know, you got Barlow and Rugard, Goodman as well. You got Preston Sledge, an added depth piece for them that could really be useful. He's a junior guard who transferred from Champaign Centennial. Had 13 against Rantoul. That was a big win for the Potters not too long ago. They have Silas Steffen as well. Had a really good game against Metamora. Put up 9 against Champaign Central, so he can contribute on any given night. And you saw Grant Selke scored earlier, a junior for them. Then you got a couple tall juniors on the bench. You got Jarrett Remy, Ryan Schaffnet, 6'4", 6'6", respectively. And then you got some really good sophomores, and really appreciated Morton, their basketball account on Twitter. They also posted scores of their sophomore game as well, so we're able to kind of see who their key sophomores are. Owen Adams and Alex McKee are regular 15, 20-plus point scorers for the Potters JV teams. So, and they also play a bit on varsity as well. So, Morton goes about 9-10 deep.
And not only did they go 9 and 10 deep, I mean, you mentioned the sophomores. I mean, there's going to be no drop-off in talent anytime soon for this team.
Certainly not. Just 2 seniors on the squad as Jurgens gets a tough look to go. Adds his second bucket as he's up to 5 points. But Barlow and Rugard, the 2 seniors, as Jurgens caused Rugard to fall to the ground. It looks like Abe Zeller on the Potters sideline called a timeout, so no travel. Aaron Morton will stick with him, but again, just 2 seniors on the Potters. Pekin, they have a couple more. They have Current Clark, Jamison Knight, Matt Jerkins, Connor Martin, Daniel Cash, and Dominic Hawkins. So they have 6 all total on their squad.
It's amazing to see how good the Potters are this year with the 2 seniors they have on their team. Now, given the 2 seniors they have are very big pieces on their team, but we've already mentioned the juniors, the sophomores, and the JV level. You know, like I've said, you know, this team is not going to be short on talent in the coming years. They're going to be a very competitive, very good team, not only in the Mid-Illini, but Class 3A.
Here's Rugard with it now. 1 minute left to play here in the first half. Morton led 14-12 with just a couple seconds left in the first quarter before a big steal and dunk from Evan Barlow to end the first quarter gave Morton some momentum, which they've carried over here into the second frame.
And they look not to be in a hurry. They don't really need to be. They have the double-digit lead.
They'll slow things down here and probably hold for the last shot. Second quarter, Michael's been pretty reminiscent of the girls' game, which we just saw. It was a very close game at halftime, 17-15. Morton led. And then from there, they outscored Pekin 28-7 the rest of the way in the second half. Made it look a lot less close than it actually was. Pekin's going to let Morton take the last shot. They don't step up and challenge on defense. Now down to 5. Barlow with it, driving in. Floater for the lane is good. Everything that Barlow's shot has seemingly gone down. He's got 15 in the first quarter for the Morton Potters as they lead 29-16 over the Pekin Dragons here at Dodgy Hawkins Gymnasium.
We've been talking about the fact that Morton's a younger team, which they are. They have 2 seniors, but those 2 seniors have been the difference makers in terms of points. We're going to talk about Evan Barlow. Every shot he's taken, it's felt like it's fell. He's got almost the amount of points that Pekin has as a team. So he's been on fire. And Gus Rugard, the other senior, has 9. So going into the break, Pekin has to figure out a way to stop the seniors for Morton. So it's a big thing for them.
Morton, the theme for them has been it could be anybody on any given night. You know, most nights last week it was Gus Rugard. You had other games where people like Silas Steffen, Wes Gudeman, Trip Rugard would have big games. Potentially Cal Boker as well. And this has been Evan Barlow's game where he's taken over so far. Run a great shooting performance, both from behind the arc and also down low as well. They're really causing problems for Pekin. They're led by 5 points from Matthew Juergens, 4 each from Current Clark and Peyton Hess, and 3 from Tyler Filarski, although they're still very much in this game. Again, still lots of basketball left to be played. Dragons starting to keep their Mid-Illini unblemished Mid-Illini record, I should say, intact at 2-0. Morton also looking to try and stay unbeaten in Mid-Illini play, but only one of these teams will stay 3-0 in the conference. And we want to take this opportunity to remind you that if you're looking to advertise with us here on Clutch Sports Media, now's your chance. Hit us up via email at clutchsportsil@gmail.com for more information. We have all sorts of different packages that fit any sort of budget and sponsor our broadcast. We also have options for our social media as well, which all attract a lot of traffic, high share rate on our Athlete of the Week posts, our standings that we post each week. We'll have those coming out pretty soon for this week. So get in contact with us. Always looking to get in contact with local businesses from around the Peoria area. Morton, Pekin, Metamora, Washington, Dunlap, Bartonville, Chillicothe, you name it, anywhere around Central Illinois. Heck, even Bloomington Normal as well. So if you or someone you know has a business that's interested in sponsoring with us, now is your chance. And again, you can hit us up on clutchsportsil@gmail.com. And as the Pekin dance team takes the floor, we'll step aside for a quick word for Clutch Sports Media Overtime. We can find all sorts of preps, hoops coverage around the Peoria area. We'll step aside for this quick break and come back from Dodgy Hawkins Gym here in Pekin as Morton leads 29-16 after the first half.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime. After 4 years of preps coverage in Central Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to give you in-depth coverage of your teams,
Your stories, your stats and standings.
your highlights and action shots.
With your subscription, you'll get to see news and feature stories from all sports, up-to-date stats from around the area, and thoughtful analysis from our team of experts. As for our broadcast and social media coverage, it's only getting better.
With your support of Clutch Sports Media Overtime, we'll continue to grow our free broadcast coverage with more sports, more games, and more innovation.
And thanks to our partnership with Too Efficient Media, your social media feeds will be filled with Central Illinois' best sights and sounds. CSM Overtime will also give you access to full galleries from some of the most talented photographers and videographers in our region.
As the new season approaches, it's time for more.
More action, more stories.
More coverage of all Central Illinois sports. It's Clutch Sports Media Overtime.
Welcome back to Donnie Hawkins Gymnasium. Chuck-a-Duck is now underway. We've had some great throws. Look at that. Great camera work from our Josh Messenger there, getting zoomed in on the best duck. Let's take a look. I think that one on that red circle is probably our winner here tonight. Lots of good contenders, though. Let's say well over 100 ducks on the court, Michael. Always a fun tradition, no matter where you are.
You gotta love some of these fun halftime festivities.
There was a duck that I believe that either had a green hat or a green beak that may have just won it right at the end.
Talk about a buzzer beater. They're beginning to clean it up, and that was just the last second throw.
Having some fun here in Donnie Hawkins Gymnasium. Newly renovated Donnie Hawkins Gym here, Michael. I know this is your first time here, but as a Clutch Sports Media veteran myself, I've been here a couple of times, and the new renovations here have been outstanding. New seating here, it's gone over the wooden bleachers. They're now more of those plastic bleachers you see from usually some newer facilities around the area. You look over across the way, there's a whole host of bikes and treadmills and ellipticals over there, as well as like a little turf sort of area as well that you can do some training on there. So all sorts of great stuff going on over here at Pekin. There's a new weight room with some windows over on the left side of the gym that is adjacent here to this gym. The gym got a new surface as well. All sorts of new things going on here. One of the best venues, not just in the Mid-Illini, but in Central Illinois in terms of basketball. These renovations have been something else. So if you haven't gotten over to Pekin, strongly suggested either for a Dragons game or maybe for the Pekin Insurance Holiday Tournament coming up on later in the month.
Yeah, I can't really speak from comparing the two venues from before and after the renovation, because this is obviously my first time here, but for what I've seen here, I mean, it's beautiful here. I mean, they've done a good job with, I've seen pictures online of the old gym, and what I've seen was the wooden bleachers, and now they switched to more of a plastic, like you said, and it fits the court well. The newly renovated court too. The court looks like outstanding. There's everything about this gym. Like, the top it off, in my opinion, which is really cool, is the Jumbotron in the center. I mean, that's pretty cool.
It certainly is. It's been a little, that was here last time. I don't know if it's a Jumbotron. I'd say it's a hanging scoreboard. I know what your definition of Jumbotron versus scoreboard are. I said Jumbotron usually has a screen on it.
That's fair.
Pekin doesn't have a screen on it, but they do have that hanging scoreboard over mid-court, kind of like how East Peoria does as well. Nice venue over there, but we're saying that game action, it's been Morton controlling most of it so far. Pekin hung tough early on, but Evan Barlow, Gus Rugard, Morton's only two seniors putting together a nice first half, and it's been a little bit of a mountainous journey for Pekin, filled with peaks and valleys in the first half. Again, had some nice outside shooting, but Morton's defense really made things tough and then created opportunities for the Potters then in transition.
When it comes to Pekin in the second half, they're practicing their three-pointers right now, and they really should be, because those are the shots they got to make. And when they get the good shots on the three-point line, or they just get good shots in general, they got to make their jumpers. That's the only way they can get back in this game, because Morton's boys team, just like the girls team, is playing great defense.
They certainly are, and again, they've allowed over 50 points only twice this season. They've allowed an average of 41.4 per game. Pekin, on the other hand, their defense has been pretty good as well. Can't forget about them. They've allowed just 44.5 points per game. So, again, both these teams off to good starts. Let's take a look real quick at the other Mid-Illini conference matchups going on around the area tonight. Tuesdays always big nights around the Central Illinois area in both boys and girls basketball, but you have Dunlap and East Peoria facing off. Dunlap leading East Peoria 19-14 in the first quarter. That'll be a matchup of two pretty even teams. Metamora takes on Canton. That leaves Washington. They'll be facing, or they are facing, Limestone at the moment. Some other good games to watch around the area tonight. You got small school action, Delavan and Peoria Christian. Peoria High taking on Glenwood. Manual playing Springfield Lanphier. And you also got DMAC. They're playing Leroy. IVC playing Kewanee. Prairie Central Normal U High. Pretty good non-conference matchup there. Those are just a small sampling of those boys games to watch. Again, girls action going on in the area as well. See if there's any other final scores, other games going on. Bloomington Central Catholic falls to 7-3. They fall to Byron 74-51. 10-1 Elmwood plays Payson Seymour tonight. Peoria Heights, a girls team in the area that you should definitely have your eye on. The Patriots, historically not a very good team, we'll say that, but the improvement has been there. They went 500 last year. They're 9-1 now this year. So the Patriots are doing some very, very good things, and they're truly looking legitimate. That 9-1 record, no fluke for them. Definitely a team to keep an eye on. Small selection. Canton takes on Metamora. Limestone plays Washington. East Peoria plays Dunlap, just like the boys. And in Big 12 action, Bloomington plays Peoria Notre Dame. The Irish in Big 12 action looking extremely strong this year.
They are legit. That's all I can say. Very good girls basketball team.
And it's 30 seconds to go here of halftime. Again, second half ready to get going. The 5 on the floor for Morton looks like it will, or rather for Pekin looks like it'll be Current Clark, Daniel Cash, Peyton Hess, Connor Martin, and Matthew Juergens, their 5 starters. And for Morton, their 5 will be Cal Boker, Evan Barlow, Gus Rugard, Wes Gudeman, and Alex McKee, the sophomore playing for the Potters. If I'm not mistaken, I believe McKee and the sophomore Potters team just wrapped up their JV game in the auxiliary gym. So again, I think Alex McKee and some of the Potters sophomores pulling double duty here tonight in Pekin.
You gotta love it. I mean, he probably had a good game in that game too, and he's probably tired beyond belief, but he's able to put on the varsity jersey and put on for the varsity Potters. It's a good sight to see.
It's Pekin ball to start the second half. And still very much in this game as Hess kicks out to Clark, driving in. Now here's Martin, now over to Juergens. Working in there on Boker before he comes to a stop. Here's Hess. Finding Clark, driving in on Gudeman. was rejected but got his own miss. Now the 3 ball is good. Daniel Cash gets on the scoreboard with a triple. That's a big bucket for Pekin. So second half, and now they'll bring on the press.
Momentum was figuring to be Morton's way, but with that 3, you got to figure that Pekin's finally took lid off their basket. They might be able to get some buckets.
Nice defense there from Juergens to show there on Boker. Prevent the easy layup. Rugard kicks down low to Goodeman. 1-on-1, and Goodeman's going to win that battle. High percentage look down low, and Morton pushes it back up to 12. Goodeman's got 4 tonight.
Just bad positioning by Pekin there. Good pass there to Goodeman, for Morton, and he's able to finish it easily.
Here's Hess with it. Driving in, looking for some help. Morton got a screen there from Clark. Didn't pull the trigger on the 3. Nearly taken away by Barlow. He's had some active hands. Now Rugard takes it away, but only momentarily. Stripes are going to whistle that one a foul. That'll be Rugard's first foul and Morton's first team foul. Been a very clean ball game so far, Michael. Hardly any fouls on either team so far tonight.
They've been playing good aggressive defense without fouling, and that's all a coach wants.
How about the aggressive stroke from three-point land from the Dragons? Cash buries another one, so now he's quickly got 6 for Pekin.
Now it's a single-digit game.
And Pekin just gets some stops. Rugard, almost carved him up. Now the bucket down low goes to Boker. Another second chance opportunity for Morton, and Powders have feasted on those tonight.
Pekin's got to continue to strangle some good offensive possessions together, and when they're on the defensive end, they got to continue to at least play well.
That'll be a reach in there on Rugard. That'll be his second foul in a pretty quick fashion.
The Rugard brothers going together to try to get that steal, and just a little handsy there. Just draws the foul for the Dragons.
Rugard, though, a fun player to watch, both of them, Tripp and Gus. Tripp does a bit of everything. Active hands there from Barlow. Swats out of bounds. I heard the impact of the ball on his hand all the way from up here. See if Pekin tries to go with another 3. You know, you could say that, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, but they've been taking that gamble, trying to go for those 2 birds in the bush, and they've been successful so far. Barlow, the bucket in transition, and now Morton's lead back up to 13.
Pekin's got to take care of the basketball because now Morton's getting their buckets in transition, and they can't let up any more buckets against this Potters team if they want to get a good chance in this game.
Hess and 1. Big time bucket there for Pekin. I go back to our previous analogy. There you get the 2 in the bush and you have 1 in your hand. You get a free throw here to try and make this a 3-point play, as now Hess is up to 6 points for the Dragons. He had 19 against Champaign Central and 26 against Rockford Jefferson. That game against Jefferson was part of the Environmental Control Solutions Shootout, which Pekin started the year on. Right here at Darty Hawkins Gymnasium, played 4 games, won 3 of them. So they started off the year on a pretty solid note, and Hess completes the 3-point play.
In order to be competitive in this conference, it takes the team to play really good non-conference competition, and Pekin certainly did that, and they started on a hot note.
Another offensive rebound from Morton. This time it's Goodeman. Rugard's 3 was just a bit short. Now Silas Steffen into the game for Morton. First time we've called his name tonight. He had 9 against Champaign Central. Here's Rugard driving right on Clark. Floats it up, nothing doing, but Goodeman is right there and 1. Another offensive board for Morton, Michael, That's been the Achilles heel for Pekin tonight.
It certainly has, and like I said, you got to box out. If you're the smaller team going against a bigger team, one of the big things you have to do as a smaller team is put your body on somebody and box them out. I mean, that's one of the main ways you can get rebounds in that situation. And so far, Pekin, they've just been inconsistent in that step.
Goodeman's free throw is off the mark. Pekin is able to bring in the board despite some attempts from the Potters. As now Clark hands off to Hess. He's double team on the drive, kicks it back out. Pekin trying to find an opening in this Morton defense.
It's good defense for the Potters so far.
Deep ball from Jurgens is good. Put the ball in your hands of one of your best shooters and let him go to work. If I'm not mistaken, that's Pekin's third three of the third quarter and their fourth three-point play when it's all said and done here of this third frame. Goodeman drives in, and that'll be a travel. He doesn't think so, but refs think otherwise. They'll go back to Pekin. Now here's a chance for the Dragons, Michael, to stack consecutive made buckets on top of each other and get back in this game.
They really need to. If they want to get an opportunity to get in this game, they got to make their shots.
Here's an open one from Owen Gordon in the corner, and he's off the mark.
Because when it comes time to play good defenses, you know, when you play defenses like Morton and other defenses in Mid-Illini, like Washington, for example, of good defenses, you know, you don't really know how many good chances you're going to get to make baskets. So when you get good chances to make baskets, you got to convert them.
That was all things considered a pretty good look from Gordon, and you know, three-point shooting can be contagious, and it's been spread around the Pekin offense so far. As comes the press, Rugard flips up ahead to Selke, who almost fumbled it out of bounds. That one goes off the leg of, rather, no, I thought it was Barlow, but it goes off of Jurgens of Pekin, and it'll stay on the Potters' end.
Pekin really needs to amp up their defense here. They've been doing a better job of it late, but, you know, they can't let a Morton get any easy baskets. They got to amp up their defense a little bit.
Here's Rugard. Gives it over to Alex McKee, another one of those sophomores for Morton. Goodeman going to work down low, puts it up and in. He's starting to heat up here in this third quarter. He's got 6 now in the frame. Pekin tries to answer down low. Jurgens whistled off. Foul is on the floor. That was a bang one there, Michael. I don't know. I thought Jurgens got that one off, but referees had a closer look at it.
That was definitely a killer for Jurgens. That was and one opportunity if the shot would have counted, but nonetheless, a foul that was committed, and Pekin will certainly take the foul.
That's the 4th team foul on Morton this quarter. So now, if Pekin can be aggressive, there's that 5th foul. So now, the Dragons will be in the bonus the rest of the second quarter. And yeah, Jurgens heading to the line after he just knocked one down not too long ago.
It's a good job by Jurgens driving baseline, making sure the 5th foul is committed, and now they'll be shooting 2 free throws the rest of the way in the first half. Or, excuse me, the third quarter.
Again, that new rule change, obviously, still trying to get used to that. 5 fouls in a quarter will now constitute getting in the bonus. The 1-and-1 has been eliminated entirely as Jurgens goes 1 for 2. But no longer are team fouls recorded each half. Now it's now just each quarter, and 5 fouls each quarter will put you in the, essentially, what's the double bonus?
I like this idea from Pekin, the full court press, a full man press.
Try and trap Morton here up top, but the Potters break it. Rugard feeds Boker down low. He's double teamed. This may be a jump ball. It is. And the possession arrow will favor Morton. Jump balls, though, never really a bad thing because either the possession goes back to you or you have the philosophy of, hey, we have this tie up here. The next one will go back to us.
tie-ups also show that, you know, your players have heart, because it's just one of those plays where you can't teach someone how to get in a tie-up. You just got to make sure that your players have heart and want to get in those tie-ups.
All right, call a foul there on Pekin. That's going to go on Filarski. That'll be the Dragons' second of this third quarter. Morton's led for almost the entirety of this one. Dragons led 3-2 in the early going, but Gus Rugard and Evan Barlow have been big for Morton. As says Gudeman, he'll kick it out. There's a three ball from McKee in the corner. It's good. He is on the scoreboard now, and another triple for the Potters. This lead climbs back up to 13.
Big momentum shifter three-pointer for the Potters. Now it feels like they might have the more momentum than the Dragons.
Jurgens steps into a long ball, and it's no good. Here's Barlow. 2-on-2 break. He'll pass it over. McKee again. From the wing, it's good. Back-to-back triples from the sophomore Alex McKee. And just like that, a 10-point game has now become a 16-point game.
He certainly feels like he's got the hot stroke, and that's a scary set to see if you're Pekin trying to get back in this game.
McKee had 22 in Morton's JV game against Champaign Central back on Saturday. He's going to be a problem for sure coming up for Morton, as will Owen Adams, another sophomore on their team. They also have Jude Zeller on the varsity roster for Morton, as well as Colin Burns. So a couple sophomores getting some good experience. Silas Steffen part of that group as well. And Jurgens will cut the lead down to 14. He's up to 11. And it looks like we're going to get a foul on Jurgens, as I looked up and Trip Rugard was on the floor, unless he lived up to his own name.
Certainly, and Jurgens, not necessarily the smartest foul. He's got a little handsy and didn't really need to be handsy in that situation. Rugard was looking away from him.
Pekin bringing the press again, but Morton's been able to solve it every time, and they do so again. Rugard, how about the crafty finish? Switching hands momentarily, lays it in. He's got 10.
Nice crafty layup there for Rugard, and now the game it keeps getting wider. The margin of scores just keep getting wider. 16-point lead for the Potters.
I think for Pekin, I think someone has to step up now besides Jurgens. He's been doing lots of work here in this third quarter, but they need some other players to start making some shots. They're going to milk this one out.
If they can end this quarter on a made shot and don't let Morton get any chances of making their own shot, then they can get the momentum starting the fourth.
Here's Hess with it, guarded by Gudeman. To a cutting Jurgens, and it's taken away. Morton will have a last shot with one from half court. McKee, straight one from the corner, from the wing, half court. A little bit too tall of an order there. But Morton, a big third quarter, and their lead is now stretched out to 16 over the Pekin Dragons here in Midweek Madness here on Clutch Sports Media.
I don't really like how Pekin ended their last possession in the quarter. I would have liked for them to be more conservative until the final seconds to try to get a decent shot off, but that turnover, just not a pass you want to make in that situation.
Morton's been all over the place in the passing lanes tonight. Got to give them credit. They forced lots of steals and have been able to get out in transition and stop the Dragons' attack. See if they have a comeback in them in the fourth quarter. Also want to remind you that you should advertise with us on Clutch Sports Media. If you're interested, contact us at clutchsportsil@gmail.com for more information. Again, multiple different packages that fit all sorts of budgets. You can advertise your business or products, services to all around the Peoria area with all the games that we cover, especially during basketball season, doing at least 2 to 3 games each week, sometimes even more, as well as holiday tournaments. So we're going to be all over the place in December, January, then into February and March as well for basketball season. So hit us up. We're open to discuss how we can help you and your business. Advertising out here on Clutch Sports Media. Here's Juergens with it now. A tough look. He gets his own miss. Nice hustle from Juergens. His second shot was off the mark again. Surely can't fault Juergens for giving it his all tonight. He's been all over the place trying to get Pekin back in this one.
Just has to be more than just Juergens when it comes to the Dragons. Players need to step up and make big shots.
Nice double team coming from Pekin. Able to take it away, and another smart play from Juergens, bouncing it off of Rugard. So that's a big stretch of two nice plays for the Dragons. See if they can convert on the offensive end.
Just Juergens, if he's the one doing it by himself, I mean, ultimately what it's going to come down to is that Juergens is going to get double teamed, and there's going to be players that will have to step up at some point if Pekin really wants a chance of winning.
Morton looking to go to 9-1 on the year. Pekin looking to advance to 7-2, but they have a mountain to climb late here in their home gym. Barlow swatted away by Hess. We're going to get a foul here in transition. It's going to be a travel, rather, on the Dragons. So get a nice play from Peyton Hess, who swatted Barlow at the rim, but then give it right back to the Potters.
It's just a good block by Peyton Hess, but it's just the Morton Potter player that was right in front of him that must have spooked him and made him take an extra step.
Goodman drives in down low, shot much too strong. That's one thing I noticed about Goodman at the TOC, where he was part of the all-gray ribbon showdown team, averaged 12.7 points per game and 9.3 rebounds per game. So he is just a strong player for Morton, and it's really a true post presence. Not overly tall. He's not, a 6'8", 6'9" guy, but he's just a real tough guy down in the paint.
He gives the Potters a team of guards that can really shoot the ball all over the place, a true post presence, like you said, and it makes them a more complete team when he's on this game.
Here's one of those guards, Trip Rugard. Now Goodman showcasing he can shoot the three, but not so there as Hess brings in the miss. Pekin's got to get something going here. Got to start somewhere. Juergens drives in. Nice spin move and the finish. Now up to 13.
Still bringing full court pressure.
Now Rugard on the other end. Rebounded by Stefan, too strong. Can Pekin get the board? They can. Juergens did. We're going to see who this foul is called on. A little bit of a scrum down low. Asking to go on Goodman, so that's his second.
It's like Matthew Juergens. I mean, he's been all over the place for this team. It's just a matter of if his teammates, the four other players on the court, if they can step it up, and hopefully Pekin can make a run.
Morton feeds Cash. Now over to Juergens for a three, and it's just a bit short. He's had the hot hand, so, I mean, you could go either way. You could say, well, we'll ride on the horse that got us here in Matthew Juergens, but it does always help to spread the wealth a little bit.
You're going to have to spread the wealth at some point because, like I said, if you're just going to rely on Juergens, he's going to get double teamed at some points, and he's going to be played really aggressive on. And
Goodman kicks out to Barlow. His triple is off the mark, but he got fouled by Morton, who closed out a bit too strong. Looks like Barlow is going to shoot three here at the line, and he's got 17 here tonight. So that's not who you want to put at the stripe if you're Pekin. First one is pretty. It's nothing but nylon.
Evan Barlow's had a really good game tonight shooting the ball and makes the Potters a more complete team when they have Barlow cooking, they have Goodman cooking, the Rugard brothers cooking. It's a really complete showcase. When the Potters play at their best, it's a real complete game.
And it certainly is, and I think that's the big reason why they can make a deep run is there really isn't, at least we haven't seen a definite area of weakness yet for Abe Zeller's squad. Barlow goes 2 for 3, but how about Boker getting the rebound without incurring an over the back foul, and the Potters will stay with it.
Potters in no hurry. They might be a little tired, honestly. Most of their starters that started the game have been playing the majority of the game.
I see Goodman, he's grabbing a cup of water there on the bench. Juergens almost took it away, but couldn't quite get full control of it. Morton has certainly thrived in transition here tonight as they get it in to Barlow. Now gives it back to Gus Rugard. He crosses up on Martin. And now Steffen on the drive. He'll pull up from 7 feet, up and good. That's Steffen's first bucket. Now 7 Potters have scored, and that lead now moves to 18. That's their biggest of the night so far.
Good motion offense from the Potters. Being patient, taking what the defense gives them, and that was a good drive by Steffen to get the easy 2.
Steffen, part of a very strong Morton Potters football team from this past year. Connor Martin, another football player, goes up and in. That's his first score of the game. Last time we were here at Pekin, Michael, was when the Dragons football team was facing Morton. That was back in week 5 of the football season. It was a little bit warmer outside. Although I will say, I think this is a little bit of a warmer winter that we've had in Central Illinois that compared to years past. Don't really have to wear a big parka when you go outside. It's still comfortable for the most part.
I mean, when you talk about the fact that in the first week of December, in Peoria especially, it's been like in the 50s. I mean, man, it's just it's felt different. I mean, in November too. I mean, at some points in late November, middle of November, it's been in the 70s. It feels like so. Just it's been a little different, but I'm honestly here for it. I'm not a big fan of snow myself, and I'm not a big fan of the cold. I don't know who would be, but I'm over a warmer weather kind of guy. So
I'm right with you there, Michael. I'm very much looking forward to heading down to Florida at the end of this week for a week for Christmas, and then coming back for the State Farm Holiday Classic. Barlow, hello. As if he doesn't need any more introductions. He's got 21, so he's already made quite the appearance tonight and slams it home. That's his second dunk of the game. Now in transition, Findian down low. It's Selke up and good, and he'll have a chance for one more. Morton opened up their biggest lead of the night. It's now reached 20 with 3:23 to go. And if Pekin wants to get the Fire Pit Nation going, they have to warm things up as me and you both like, Michael. Barlow, the offensive board, and the layup. The Potters doing yeoman's work on the offensive glass tonight.
we're relentless from Barlow. If the Dragons want any chance of winning this, I mean, this is their last chance, the last gaps to put drives together, to put points on the board.
They've got to get the threes raining and quickly. Driving in and losing control was Filarski. He'll stick here with the Potters. And Dragons bring in some subs. Dominic Hawkins, Owen Gordon, and Ben Walraven now into the game. So
it almost feels like they're not conceding the game, but they're giving players more opportunities that they wouldn't give in a closer game. So it almost feels like they're conceding it, but I wouldn't say they're conceding it yet.
See if they can find that late spark. Walraven kicks over to Gordon. His three ball is off the front iron. Martin at the right place for the rebound, kicks it out. Now Filarski. He'll kick out. Walraven wide open off the bank and in. The bank is still open at 8:01 on a Tuesday. And Ben Walraven making a deposit. Maybe too little too late though, and this is a situation where Pekin would say, hey, we really want the shot clock.
It just, in these situations, it almost feels like a shot clock would be beneficial for Pekin, but at this point, even if there was a shot clock with such a deficit, like a 19-point deficit, it's still, yeah, still a very steep mountain to climb. Obviously, with the shot clock, that would force Morton to take shots. But if Morton really wanted to, they could play really conservative and just pass the ball around. But that just makes for a boring game for the fans that spent their hard-earned money to come watch this game.
Well, if you're watching on ClutchSportsIL.com, you don't have to spend any of your hard-earned money. Our broadcast live and for free as always. Glad you're spending your Tuesday night with us. Been a good bit of Illini action here tonight. Again, stay tuned to our social media channels to see where we're headed to next. We're have some options open for later this week, so we'll bring us a couple more games in before a brief hiatus before Christmas. Then we'll come back and head to the State Farm Holiday Classic down in Bloomington Normal for our third year down there. That should be a really fun tournament. As always, we'll have all 128 games on Clutch Sports Media, and you can buy your daily or tournament passes. That's the only broadcast on Clutch Sports Media that aren't for free, but you get 128 games. You can watch all of them right here on Clutch Sports Media. It should be a fun time down there in between Christmas and New Year's, as Stefan's reverse layup is no good. I don't know about you, Michael, but that weekend between Christmas and New Year's, a time where a lot of people are kind of wondering what to do with themselves. Well, I think a good suggestion is to tune into the Holiday Classic, as they say, the best basketball this side of March.
The Holiday Classic, it doesn't just involve teams in Peoria area. It doesn't involve teams in Bloomington Normal. It involves teams around the state, and it's a very fun tournament because you definitely get to see the best of the best around the state.
Filarski's drive is up and good. With a substitution timeout here as Spencer Sitter comes into the game for Pekin.
I mean, right now, we're seeing the difference between a team that relies on one or two players and a team that's very well-rounded. And if the Pekin Dragons want to be a force to be reckoned with in this conference, it has to take more than just Jurgens and Hess to do that. And we've seen some flashes from Dominic Hawkins and Curran Clark, but they haven't done enough to really be necessarily forces to be reckoned with on this team.
Stefan's layup up and good. He flew in there quickly. And you made a good point, Michael. Obviously, Pekin looking for more contributions, and I think they'll get them from those other players. This wasn't the case here tonight against a very skilled Morton team. It's on the doorstep of winning 9 of their first 10. Nifty behind the back from Walraven. He's carving up Jude Zeller into the game now for Morton.
And Morton is so skilled because they have all those players that can contribute. They have 9 to 10 players that can contribute on any given night. It's hard for an opposing coach to deal with a team that has that type of talent.
Another substitution timeout here for Morton as Stefan will check out, assumingly for the final time. Morton's got Colin Burns on the court as well as McKee, Jude Zeller. A couple other JV players as Hawkins throws that one away. To looks like a
teacher.
Yeah, looks like a teacher or administrator of some sort. She's getting in on the action late.
Nice bounce pass back to the ref, very textbook. nice chest bounce pass.
Now Morton the other way. Here's McKee's shot, just comes up a bit short. Now pass, here's Jamison Knight, his layup up and good. Fire Pit Nation loves that. That's Knight's first bucket of the night, but won't change the outcome as A. Potter gets fouled. They don't have a number 40 on their varsity roster, so we'll try and see who that is. But again, some players playing from the JV game, finding their way onto the varsity roster, getting some well-earned PT.
It may not be the most important PT of their lives, but nonetheless, varsity basketball at the end of the day is varsity basketball.
2 free throws missed. They go down low. Here's Jude Zeller. His layup is up and good. Make that 8 Potters that have scored tonight. And a deep shot at the horn, almost, but no good. That will do it from Dottie Hawkins Gymnasium. Morton makes a statement, and they stay undefeated in Mid-Illini play, a 61-42 victory. And they take one from the Dragons in their own lair, move to 9-1 on the season.
I mean, like I said before, the difference between Morton and Pekin is that Morton's a more complete team. They have 9 to 10 players that can do 9 in and 9 out, big things. And the difference with Pekin is that they have, right now, from what I've seen, 1 to 2 players that can be difference makers. If they really want to be a team to beat in the Mid-Illini, they want to be competitive in this conference, they have to have more people step up on their team.
Matthew Juergens leads Pekin with 13 tonight. Evan Barlow with 23 for Morton. Gus Rugard chips in 10. Although I think the big difference makers for Morton tonight, Michael, were the offensive rebounds and also their defense. They held Pekin to just about their average in terms of points allowed per game, which was 41.4 coming into it. They allow 42 tonight, and you allow just over 40 points. You're going to win a lot of basketball games, and pair that with good shooters, good post presence down low. Morton's looking pretty good, and I think Pekin will still be just fine. They fall to 6-3 on the year, 1-2 in Mid-Illini play. They said they were 2-0 earlier. They lost to Washington last Friday, so fall to 1-2, but still lots of season left to be played. I still think there's lots to look forward to for Pekin as we look ahead for both teams. Pekin, they will travel to Tepke Gym to take on the vaunted Metamora Redbirds on Friday, while Morton, their next matchup, they will take on Limestone back at the Potter Dome also on Friday as well. So Morton moves to 9-1 on the year, 3-0 in Mid-Illini play. Keep an eye on this Potters team. You saw why here tonight. That'll about do it here from Dottie Hawkins Gymnasium. For all of our great crew at Clutch Sports Media, going back to our girls doubleheader that we had just before this. You can rewind our broadcast. It's just earlier on this same stream, which Morton won 45-22. I think Rodrigo Perez, who did color in the first game, was on camera for this game, as well as Josh Messenger on camera for the first game, produced this game. Michael Savoy on color for this game and play-by-play the last game, and Brock Engel taking some nice pictures on the sidelines, which you'll see in your social media feeds sometime soon. And for everyone else, I'm Jonathan Michael here from Clutch Sports Media saying so long from Pekin. It's a Potter sweep in the Dottie Hawkins Gymnasium. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday night. Stay tuned to where we'll go next on Clutch Sports Media. Until then, so long, folks. Have a great week.